You watched the video along with audio? Hello, please respond, guys. Hello. Are you there in the class? So now by this time you might be getting some idea. So I think all these things yesterday, some of the things we have discussed yesterday. So GNSS is the global navigation satellite system. It will use the three constellations, namely GPS, GLONASS and Galileo. And in three of the systems, there is a technique called as the trilateration technique. So trilateration technique is nothing but the finding out the position of an object or of a user. We call in the GPS terminology, we call it as a user or certain objects. So what it is, just now the video is shown. Now let us learn it, the mathematics behind it. Right. Now we'll go ahead. So GPS, how it works, already watched it, and working of the GPS. Today we have seen, and what is the GLONASS, what are its frequency bands, and what is the radii used for the GLONASS and the Galileo, and what are the different kinds of signals used in the Galileo, and what are the different services offered by the Galileo system, Galileo GNSS system. This is all in our previous class we have seen. Now, what is a basic GNSS system? What is a basic GNSS system? Of course, just now we have already watched this in our video. So the GNSS system will use the three constellations. So what is the general meaning of a word constellation? Constellation is nothing but a group of satellites. Constellation is nothing but a group of satellites. So there are three constellations developed till now. Of course, Indian constellation is also there. That is called as Gagan. There is a separate topic of Gagan is there in our first unit itself. We'll see it later. But majorly, there are three setups developed. One is a GPS, second one is a GLONASS, and third one is the Galileo. And one interesting term here it will be introduced, which was not discussed earlier, is the what is called as the augmentation. So augmentation system is nothing but to improve or to increase the quality of the measurement or to improve the quality of navigation. So navigation is nothing but the process of tracking an object or a user. Now, why there is a necessity to improve, why there is a necessity to improve the quality, why there is a necessity to increase means there are some errors associated in our calculation. Just now, one of the errors shown in the video is the atomic clock error, because the mobile phone clocks that we are using are not that much accurate as that of the atomic clocks. So a small delay of some nanoseconds or microseconds will lead to some kilometers of error, because the satellites are revolving around a long radii around 24 to 25,000 kilometers in different constellations. So some of the techniques are developed in the name of augmentation systems, and those systems are four things. That is aircraft based augmentation system, ABAS, space based augmentation system, SBAS, and next one is the ground based augmentation system, ground based augmentation system, and fourth one is the ground based regional system, ground based regional augmentation system. So about this we will learn in detail in our unit 4, where there is a separate unit called GPS errors and how to account those errors and how to correct those errors. So these systems will evolve in the process of correcting the errors. So there are three different types of errors, namely ionospheric error, tropospheric error, ephemeris error, and atomic clock error. That is the error due to the time. So what is that? We'll see in the next slide. So what is simply the satellite navigation? Just now already shown in the video, simply the satellite navigation is nothing but the multilateration. Multilateration, or to be precise, it is a trilateration technique. To be precise, it is a trilateration technique. The A, B, C are the three satellites, and the yellow colored one, which is at the intersection point of these three satellites, is the user or the object which we have to navigate. So as the theory of relativity shows that, Einstein's theory of relativity shows that, if we know the position of an unknown object from three different known positions, it is enough to calculate its longitudes and latitudes. It is enough to know its exact location. So the yellow colored one is the object here. We will calculate the distance of this user or object from the satellite A, from the satellite B, and also from the satellite C, and this is the Earth surface. And how do we calculate the distance of the object from the satellite A, from the satellite B, and from the satellite C? It is very simple. We use the principle of calculating the distance. The distance is calculated by knowing the time of travel and multiplying it with the speed or velocity. So what the process is? What is the process is? The process is shown here, that is ranging is nothing but finding out the distance. Ranging is nothing but the finding out the distance. So there is very frequently here electronics engineers hear a word called radar. So what is radar? Radar is nothing but radio detection and ranging. Radio detection and ranging. That is, detection means finding out some of the objects and finding out at what distance they are. In that case, we are using the radio frequency signal. That's why it is called as a radar. And here also we use the same principle. So here on the left side, you can see a satellite, and this is the object or the user which is to be tracked, which is to be navigated. And then a RF signal is sent by this satellite. A radio frequency signal is sent by the satellite, and that signal is reached by this object. In fact, this is done by the three different satellites when it comes to the trilateration technique. I'm taking one as an example. So here the matter is, how do we calculate the distance of the object from a known satellite? So these satellites, we already knew it. That means they are fixed in certain orbits which are revolving around the Earth. Those positions we already knew. So known positions, longitudes and latitudes, we are sending a RF signal and we are calculating the time of travel. That time of travel into that velocity of the light, that is equal to the radio frequency signal velocity, we can calculate the distance easily. So time of arrival minus time of transmitted, T2 minus T1 in the earlier video. T2 is time of arrival, T1 is the time of transmission, when the signal was transmitted and when the signal is received. The difference will be the total time of travel. This total time of travel into the speed of the light, that is radio frequency's speed, signal's speed, will give us the actual distance from each satellite. Same procedure is applied to calculate the distance from the two different satellites also. Is this clear? How do we measure the distance of the source or object from the satellites? Say yes or no. If yes, I will proceed further. If any doubts, you can raise your hand. Are you there in the class or not? Please say yes or no, guys. Hello. In the chat box, you can type. So you are there in the class. So is this topic clear? How do we calculate the distance of a user or the object which is to be navigated from a satellite? So we use a simple mathematical formula, that is distance is equal to speed into time. So speed is equal to the speed of the light, because the radio frequency signal that is sent from the satellite and received at the receiving end is having velocity or speed that is equal to the speed of the light. And time of travel we will calculate using the atomic clocks that are present in the satellite and the clocks that are present at the user end also. So time of transmission and time of travel is this. Time of arrival. Time of arrival minus time of transmission will give us the total time of travel. So distance is equal to speed into time. Distance is equal to speed into time. This is how we calculate the distance. And the same procedure is applied for the other two satellites also in the process of trilateration technique. Because only if you calculate from only one satellite, that may not be accurate. It may be erroneous. To overcome that, we are calculating the distance of the user from the three different satellites, and we are correcting it by using a fourth one. We're checking it by using a fourth one, that is a reference one. Whether the timings shown by the three satellites are correct or not, that will be done by the fourth satellites. That is why in the GPS navigation process, minimum 4 satellites are required. Minimum signals from the 4 satellites are required. So out of 24 satellites revolving around the Earth, at least 4 satellites are visible from any point on the Earth. In such a way, the GPS constellation is designed. Now, the next most important is, we assume that the radio frequency signal travels in a straight line path. The radio frequency signal travels in a straight line path. But the satellite is in the troposphere, that is above the ionosphere. In the space. And the user or the object is present on the Earth. So this radio frequency signal has to travel through the troposphere, has to travel through the ionosphere. And this troposphere and ionosphere is consisting of some clouds or some objects which will refract or which will distract the RF signal. We suppose that the signal is traveling in a straight line path, but the actual path of the signal may be the curved one. Due to this, there may be some errors. In the actual calculation process. And to correct or to compensate for those errors, we will use the augmentation techniques, what we have seen in the previous slide. That is ground-based augmentation system, space-based augmentation system, and ground ray augmentation system. That is, augmentation corrects for that bend using dual frequency measurements. Right? Is this clear? So sources of errors are due to the traversal of the signal path when it is traveling from the satellite to the Earth. It has to travel through the two layers. One is the troposphere and another one is the ionosphere. That is the Earth's atmosphere. So when it is traveling, the signal may take a deviated path. To account for that and to check or correct that error, we are using the augmentation techniques. So we are using the augmentation techniques like SBAS, that is space-based augmentation system, and second one is the ground-based augmentation system. And how are they implemented? So their WAS stands for Wide Area Augmentation System. wide area augmentation system. These all we learn in detail in our unit 4, don't worry. So this is to endure the oceanographic, this is to endure the domestic, and this is to endure the terminals, and these are the some of the approaches, and this is the actual surfaces. LAN is local area augmentation system, that is on the earth surface itself. VAS is wide area. So difference between LAS and LAS is only in a limited local area, but VAS is wide area. The receiving reference stations are kept at different countries, whereas this LAS in a predefined limited area, the reference receivers are kept. Just to know the basics of what is the difference between VAS and LAS, we'll learn in detail in our unit 4. And the next one is wide area augmentation system, what it is. The wide area augmentation system will use, that is wide area reference station. You can find here very clearly wide area references in the bottom. And here the left two, that is wide area master station. And this is a ground earth station. And this is a communication satellite. This is a GPS satellite. So these three GPS satellites will track the aeroplane or the flight continuously. And the information from this user will be sent to the ground station, will be sent to the wide area reference station as well as to the wide area master station. And this will be getting the signals as well as from the ground station, Ground earth station will send signal to the communication satellite, and communication satellite will send the signals to the object that is to be navigated. And this will be navigated through the three different satellites, because we are using the trilateration technique. From three known sources, we are finding out the position of that user. And all this data will be sent to the master session, where the calculations, whatever just now we have discussed it, to find out the distance from the each satellite and taking the average of that, giving this thing. Now, how to check the accuracy of this calculation is done with the help of a reference station. And this reference station is called as the wide area reference station. Why? Because the references are placed at a wide geographic area on the earth surface. So calculating from the reference station as well as from the master station and comparing these two, we will give a better result. And this is called as the augmentation system, wide area augmentation system. Any doubts in this? I have just briefed what is wide area augmentation system. Augmentation is to enhance or to improve or to increase the quality of the calculations or accuracy or reliability. Any doubts, guys? Please respond. If you want me to repeat this topic, I'll repeat. If not, I'll proceed further to the next topic. At least in the chat box, I want the response. Okay. So next one is the ground-based augmentation system. Ground-based augmentation system. The ground-based augmentation system is for the local area connection, local area augmentation system. That is LAAS. So here on the ground itself, on the earth surface itself, the master station and reference stations will be present, and any corrections will be done on the ground itself, local area ground itself. And of course, there is a separate unit on the applications of the GPS. That is, unit 5 is entirely meant for the GPS applications. We study in detail there. Just now we list a few of the applications of the GPS. So some of them are aerospace, automotive, military, civilian, and so many. The list goes on. So what is the purpose of GPS in the aerospace, the purpose of GPS in the aerospace is to navigate the flights, to navigate the flights and to give a proper signaling system to the flights and to provide to control the traffic in the space, to control the traffic in the space especially. So because the space present will be used by the many countries, used by the many countries. So when so many flights are using the same space, there should be a proper traffic control should be done. And for that purpose, the airport authorities of different countries will depend on the GPS system, that is GNSS. Of course, GPS is a constellation in GNSS. And second one is the automotive, that is in the automation purpose. Automation purpose of the so many applications. We use the GPS. And thirdly, military. Of course, especially this GPS is built to aid the military applications. To aid the military applications. So you can find wide number of applications in the for the military people, military personnel, or the military purpose. So where human being cannot go, there the what we call radars will be sent. We will use the radars, and wherever the man cannot go, there a flight is sent, and the enemy's targets will be detected, and they will be ranged. That is at how far they are, and whether they are in stationary position or in the movement. All those applications will be done by the GPS only for the military purpose. And the next one is the civilian application. Civilian means to the common public, to the common public. So one is the recreation purpose, and the second one is augmented reality. Actually, this GPS is mainly designed to aid the military applications, but later on, this is used to find out the presence of certain minerals in the ground station, to find out the presence of certain minerals in the ground station, to find out the level of water in the ground, to find out the presence of minerals in the earth's surface. So all these purposes we will use the GPS. Different kinds of signals will be sent, and presence of a metal will be detected by the GPS satellite, and that will be given to the master station, and which will be tallied with the reference station, which will be tallied with the reference station. These are the some of the applications of the GPS. Okay, and after this, the next topic to learn is as per the syllabus. So all these things we have studied already. So this is yesterday I have already shown a video, animation video, how the satellites are orbiting around the Earth to navigate a certain source or object. Of course, the distance from 4 satellites is enough to find the exact longitude and latitudes of a object. So these are the different services offered by the navigation signal just given an insight, but it has a structure, defined structure, what a navigation signal is consisting of. And that is a very important question and very frequent asked question in the university exam, that is present in our unit 3. Learn there. So multiplexing techniques, CDM, GLONASS uses the FDM, GPS is the CDM, code division multiplexing, different signals used by the GPS, different orbits used by the GPS. And one information I need to share to you that the textbook I tried to share, but my drive space available is not allowing me to share it to you. If somebody could help me, whose email ID is having sufficient drive space, I will forward it to them. and those people will forward into the group mail ID. So somebody please text me on WhatsApp or normal text message your mail ID who want the textbook, 2 textbooks. I can send to them directly. Okay, let me open the syllabus once. So there is one more topic called as user position calculation and velocity calculation. But for that I need a board. Any doubts in this class? The syllabus once. So basic concept, system architecture we have already seen, GPS, GLONASS we have seen, satellite navigation just now we learned. So time and GPS we need to learn. Time and GPS, of course we already learned. User position and velocity calculation is a very important topic which is to be done on the board. This topic is of greater importance. GPS, satellite constellations we have seen. So there are, of course, in the above previous slides, I have shown what is operation segment, user receiving equipment, and space segment. There are 3 segments in the GPS: user receiving segment or user segment, space segment, and space segment phase development. And finally, we have GPS aided geo-augmented navigation architecture. This is by India, our country, developed by our country, and that I will take. So 2 or 3 classes will wind up the unit 1 before we study the signal characteristics of a GPS. So any idea of physical presence to college by you? Any from any known source? HOD sir or any other information from known information to you? Not, I will take up. Cases are increasing. Okay, if not, I'll take on the board here itself. But for that class, you need to take your notes ready and you have to take the calculations that I will be solving on the board. This PPTs will not work out for the topic because that is a calculation, mathematical calculation, and that is very, very important topic, very frequently asked question also. So unit 2 is signal characteristics, everything about the signal characteristics. So here these things, anti-spoofing, selective availability we discussed in the previous class, difference between GPS and Galileo already known to us, constellation construction. Just now we have already learned, this topic is completed. Selective availability already told. So what is selective availability? It is derating of the enemies or unauthorized users signals, purposefully derating. That is done by the, introduced by the US Department of Defense. So spoofing is somebody imitates like a satellite signal. Then to overcome that, anti-spoofing technique is developed. So range estimation, frequency estimation, see GPS satellite position calculation. So all these things mathematics we learn. So GPS receivers and data errors. So I have told tropospheric error, ionospheric error, propagation error, SA error, all these errors, and clock errors, ephemeris data errors, multi-path mitigation errors. All these errors we will be learning in our unit 3. And unit 4 is a separate GPS that is called differential GPS. That is called as the differential GPS. So in that local area differential GPS, wide area differential GPS. In this, we learn in detail what is wide area augmentation system and how it is developed. The Earth station will use the satellite uplink and the satellite downlink systems. So there we learn geo uplink and geo downlink systems. And GPS INS integration. INS is inertial navigation system. GPS is global positioning system. So these two, before the invention of the GPS, all physicists or engineers will use the INS, that is inertial navigation system. They will not use any references what we are using in the case of our GPS navigation. That is called inertial navigation system, and these two are to be integrated. That is the last topic of unit 4. And finally, GPS applications. So of course, in surveying we use, in mapping and geographical information system, that is GIS, very, very important for the oceanographic people. And NGRI, I think in Hyderabad we have NGRI. Those people will use these GPS signals. So aircraft landing system, traffic control signal, military and space applications, and intelligent transport system. Nowadays, I think one of you have done the project on intelligent transport system. You can take this as a major project. Intelligent transport system using the GPS. This is one of the upcoming most advanced topic. And some of the GPS orbital parameters, description of the receiver and independent exchange format, RINEX, there is a separate topic. So observation data and navigation message data parameters and GPS position determination and least squares method. There is one separate technique to find out the GPS satellite's position. That is called least squares method. So these are the topics to be covered in near future. So mostly I'll take up Gagan in the next class, the user position equipment, user receiving equipment and the space segment equipment. I'll take up the next class. Still any doubts? So these two textbooks I will mail it to you now. Don't worry. Any doubts? Any other doubts?